Good day, everyone. My name is John, and today I'm going to be showing you my extended version of Shithead, which is when you take the variation that I play, my own set, and then you add in some of the additional rule cards that we use. You may notice the title has changed because usually between me and my friends to distinguish between this and Shithead, we call, well, Shithead, and we call this Cutthroat because this one got to be a lot more cutthroat to play. It is essentially the same game with additional cards. I would state now that if you haven't seen my Shithead video that would explain the variation that I play by, my own unique variation, I would say you should watch that first because this game is built upon that. And if you don't understand what that is, most of this is going to look weird. Also, if you try to just take the cards and stuff I use here but apply to a different variation, then it's probably not going to mesh well because, again, one was built on the other. Largely, it's the same game. There's a few minor differences in the layout. First, of how the cards are actually laid in the first part, and the other big thing is what the other cards do. I would say the other thing to be aware of, if you're familiar with my Shithead version, my variation, is that the 4 of a kind clear is gone. That's one of the big ones. The 4 of a kind is no longer a thing. Everything else is largely intact. And as we go through, I'll be pointing at most of this. We'll start by showing you the very first thing that changed, and it is how the bottom cards are laid out. When you decide who deals, or on subsequent hands when the Shithead deals, you still deal out the bottom 3 and then 6 to your hand. That hasn't changed. What has changed, though, is when you pick these cards now from your hand, the cards that you want, you're going to lay them face down. That's because your opponent now has no idea what these cards are, and you don't know what they are. And you still get choice in the top bit. After that, first hand, you flip the first card, and then subsequent hands, again, if you abide by the way we play it, you will have one card for a prize, draw your first card, and continue on. So again, this is very Shithead-like. And then, but on the first hand, we just leave it face up. So that was one of the first things that changed, is how these bottom cards are perceived. The second thing that will now go with the bottom cards is that in Shithead, we used to chain off the bottom cards. So if I had a pair of queens and a pair of queens in my hands, I would play my 2 queens and my other 2 queens. You cannot do a run off of the bottom cards anymore because they're face down, and while you have knowledge of them, they're individually played now. So you can play one, but that has nothing to do with the rest of them. And again, similarly, if the card is uncovered, then you can actually take the bottom cards, as providing they're not covered by anything else. So this is the first big change, is how these cards are laid out. So moving on to the play, everything goes back and forth like it did. Nothing's changed there. If you get a run in the deck and you're beneath 3 cards, go ahead. You will find that it's not going to happen very often. Like 1 out of 100 games, maybe. It just doesn't happen very often anymore, because more often than not, you're going to have more than 3 cards in your hand, and it still goes by the 3 card minimum. So that's another like tiny little change. So what makes this game different then is, well, what he came looking for was all the extended rules, which is additional cards that have new effects. In Shithead, we only had to deal with power cards. The power cards was the 2, 3, 8, and 10. If you remember, it's a free play, a match, a less than 8, and a clear. Those haven't changed for the most part. What one did change, because these haven't, is the 2. The 2 is going to work a bit differently now. It's probably going to be your favorite card. It's amazing. It does wonderful things, and it definitely changes how the game is played a little bit. It has 2 features. The first one is, and this is a change from the original, where it used to be a free play for yourself. I play a 2, I play again. That's gone. That's not a thing anymore. If you have to play a 2 by itself, I'm going to state that again. If the 2 is played by itself, it's now free play for the other person. That sucks. You're going to have to do that from time to time, but that's what it is. It has a second feature. I don't know if I'm even going to cover it in the video, because it will probably take a few videos to actually cover it. giving the examples that I want to give. So right now, I'm going to leave this alone by saying the power cards are intact, but the free play is now for the opposite person. And that is the part you have to take away. It's not a free play for yourself. Crazy important to understand this. It's a free play for the other person when played alone. So I'm going to stop there with the power cards, and I'm going to move on to all the new ones, all the new rules, stuff people probably might want to be here to say. The first two cards are these, the 6 and a jack. It does not matter what suit they are. Any of them, all 4 6s, all 4 jacks will do it. These have unique features, where the power cards are called power cards, 2, 3, and 10. These are being called rule cards, just to differentiate between them. What makes them a rule card is that they had to be played in the proper order. That being said, a 6 can be played on a 4. A 6, however, cannot be played on a jack. It's not bigger than jack. It's not bigger than a 7. It's not bigger than a 9. It is less than 8, though, so it can be played on that. Similarly, jack can be played on a 6. It can be played on a 9, but it can't be played on a queen, king, ace, or a less than 8, because it's not a less than 8. So that's very straightforward. They had to be played by the number they are. So 6 not on 7, jack not on queen. So what do these cards do, though? Well, these are 2 of my favorite cards, and they're probably the ones that are going to be used to trip up people the most. If I play a 6 to my opponent, they have to play a face card or another 6. The reason why I say another 6 is because, remember, equal or higher value, and a 6 is equal to another 6. That's one of the golden rules in the game. A card can beat itself. 6 is the same as a 6. But it also really specifically wants you to play a face card, and a face card would be your jack, your queen, your king, or your ace. These are the 5 cards that can be played on a 6. And that's it. That's all it is. It's very plainly spoken. If I play a 6 to my opponent, they have to play a face card or another 6. And that's very specific because I cannot give someone a free play on it. That's not a face card. And I can't match a 6 as another 6 because it's not a face card either. So these don't work. Power cards will not work on a 6. Not so powerful now. Now, jack, on the other hand, because that 6 is telling me to play a face card, so I'm going to play a face card. This one, very similarly, will tell me that I have to play play a power card, or a card always matches itself as an equal value. I could play another jack, and that passes the face card back to someone else, or power card back to someone else. This is where I can play a 2, a free play to the next person. I can match the jack as another jack, so another power card has to be played on it. I could say less than 8 on a jack, because that's a power card, or 10, because that's also a power card. So any of these 5 can actually be played. 2, 3, 8, 10, or another jack. And this is our 2 rule cards, our play a face card and play a power card. And there probably are the ones that are going to give people the most grief, because you'll get very used to only saving your really good face cards, like you wouldn't say Shithead, or saving only your power cards. And this will trip up this, and this kind of gets a little bit tripped up by the other ones. So those are our first 2 real big cards. This is where if I was teaching someone in front of me, and I was actually playing this out after I knew they played Shithead, I would only play a couple of hands now, using the 2 as a free play for the opposite person, and the 6 and jack. I would stop right there. I'd be like, nope, this is what you should play. Just for 2 or 3 hands. Get them used to like watching for the 6s and jacks. And again, sticky note, as I mentioned in my Shithead video, I would probably write that down just as a little bit of a reminder. After they played a few hands of that, and they got more comfortable with those cards, then I would probably start adding in the rest. And this now is where I'm going to talk about the 2s and what makes the 2s so good. The 2s become a link, or as you'll probably hear me say it, a link 2. What a link 2 does, it allows you to play multiple cards in succession. There is a couple of very good rules to this. The first is that you have to play a card first, and then you play a 2 on top of it. What you're saying is now I'm playing a 6, link to another card. You don't have to lay them down like that. I just did that just to show you the chain. This allows me to play a 6 and a jack on the same turn, where I normally couldn't. And if you remember how the free play worked, sure, it's a free play, but that's where free play ended. Now I don't have that. Now I have a 6 or anything, and I can link this to another card. The best part is, if I have more 2s, I can actually link that as well. I can actually link, say, my 6 face card to a jack, which is face card, which now tells me to play a power card to a power card. That's pretty neat. I just played 3 cards out. Now, my 2s are gone, but that's okay. These 2s are amazing because of how they let you get out multiple cards in a play. You will find yourself using it as a less than 8 linked to a 6 to try to trip someone up because you really want to get a 6. Or you might be playing something like you have a couple silly cards. You might have a couple 4s. You might say 4s to 5s and get your 4s to 5s out, or 4s to 5s to 6 and get like little strings out. The 2s are useful for getting a multiple cards out at once on one turn. And that's the primary thing. But while they're being used as a link, they're not being used as a free play. And that's different. They're not as a free play here. Here it's basically just telling me the 2 is allowing me to pay a fee to get another card down. And this is why I said sometimes you're going to be like, oh, I can't link an 8 to that because an 8 doesn't play on a 6. And you can't play a 2 by itself because 2 is free play. You might be in a situation where you have a jack and you'd be trying like, jack linked to queen, but that doesn't work because jack is telling you to play a power card. And yeah, 2 is kind of a power card, but it's only a power card when it's played by itself as free play. And that's free play next person, which, again, we don't really want to do if we can avoid it. So this is one of the trickier ones I found, but it's also one of the really, really best cards we got because of how it allows you to play out multiple cards really, really quickly and easily. It's probably is the best card in that it's what allows you to make these really nice plays. It's great when you see someone like, oh man, I know he's holding a 10. I want to catch him on a 6, but he keeps playing high cards. Well, 8 to 6. I'm going to play 8, link to 6. See, I got my 6 out. You couldn't stop me by playing all high cards. And that might put you in a favorable position to get some of your other ones out. This is what makes the 2 so great. It's this link to feature. But remember, it's dual aspect. You can use it for one of 2 things. You can use it as a free play for the other person, or you can also link for yourself. But again, has to be a legal play. You can play a 4 to an 8. You cannot play a 6 to a 4. 6 to a 4 doesn't work. 4 is not a face card. You could, though, play a 4 to a 6, but not a 4 to a 6 to an 8, because, again, that's not legal. The trick is it has to be something that actually will flow. 4 or 8 linked to a 4, linked to a 6. I'm just telling the person I'm playing with, I'm playing an 8, then I'm going to play 4, and then I'm going to play 6. And as long as you got these 2s in between, it's fine. So this is the first batch of Shithead, or Cutthroat rules. You have your 2 as a free play, your 2 as a link, you have your 6 as a power card, and then you have your jack. Oh, no, you have your 6 as a face card, and then you have your jack as a power card. This is the first little batch of rules. This is probably the most of it, though. Like, I would say probably 80% of it right here is these 3 cards and how they work. The rest of it's just like little tidbit stuff. I'm going to stop this video here, and I'm going to post another one that's actually going to cover the last 3 little things that come up. They're minor by comparison, but they're also crazy important. So thank you for watching. I hope this is helpful, and I will see you after.